Okay, we're going to start Toldot. And I'm going to tell you, I was so distressed about this Parsha. Actually, there's so many things in this Parsha that are very distressing. For me, in my very small eyes of my culture, where I'm coming from, my background, my this, my that, my understanding, my so small mind. And I was really struggling with a lot of things in this Parsha, which I think a lot of, at face value, we struggle with a lot of things when we read them. And I was so unsettled. And I almost didn't know what to do with myself. So many things. How is it that Yitzchak and Rivka don't talk? And like, what's going on in this Parsha? And this whole thing, and the pilpulim, and you're reading this, you're reading this and you're reading this, and I was very confused by it. And my introduction, though, that I actually want to start, I opened this sefer, and I have to find it. And my introduction was, I thought it was, thank you, Hashem, for opening my eyes to this introduction of this Parsha, which is, in itself, could be the whole musar of the Parsha, but we're gonna go do more. Oh, I have it. Okay. Elana Mizrahi Yitzchak, right? And the very first sentence of the Parsha is a little bit, Elana Mizrahi Yitzchak ben Avram holid et Yitzchak. Okay. First of all, we already know who is who. I already know this from the past Parshas. Like, okay, so, and we know that every single word in the Torah is so, like, what are you wasting words for? Like, we didn't hear, 6 years about this person, and this many years, and what happened between 37 and 40, between Akedei Yitzchak and actually Yitzchak getting married? Nothing, nowhere. And then again, we're told that, okay, the descendant or the offspring of Yitzchak, and I'm expecting right now to tell me about Esau and Yaakov. Like, the kids of Elana are, right? It would be my children. And instead it says the child of the parent, right? Who is who? Avram Avinu. Okay. Avram holid, and then again, a little bit repetitive. Guess what? Avram fathers. One of the ways I read that, I'm like, how did he give birth to? But Avram fathers, he is the biological father of Yitzchak. Very repetitive. I know who he is. I know who he's not. So then it's just so beautiful. And I think it's how we have to approach all these things, actually. What is Avram? Avram's Emunah. We talked about this. Avram is the Rosh of Emunah. He's the one who first asks questions, tries to understand, and at the end of the day, with all his understanding and questioning, which is very valid, and he was, as I mentioned before, like the Einstein, it was brilliant, genius, he's the one who says, okay, Ribbon Shalom, I'm going above the stars, I'm going above the Mazal, I'm going above what's written, and what am I doing? I know you. Because I know you, right? I'm just putting my whole entire being into you, right? And I gave an example last week about when I was at the bottom of the stairs with Moshe, the 3-year-old who folds his arms. He says, I'm not going up the stairs, right? And what does he know? And what do? I pick him up, and I don't know how I'm carrying him up the stairs. And Moshe doesn't care how his mommy is going to carry up the stairs. Moshe knows that mommy is going to carry him up the stairs. Emunah. I hold on to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I give him a hug. I say, Ribbon Shalom. The how you're getting me up or out of situations up to you. But you're going to do it. That's Avram Avinu. What is the result of Avram Avinu? What's the result of Emunah? Yitzchak, tzok, happiness, simcha. It's so simple, but it's so deep. The more I'm working on my Emunah and really trying to relinquish the control of my life of the things I'm trying to control them, it's like that tzok of just, it's like laughter. It's the upside down that was so out of the ordinary, but that can so happen. It's the laughter of just lightness. It's the laughter of Sarah saying, like, the whole world is happy with me. I had a child, and also this bracha went to everyone else around me. The more we're building our Emunah, the result is simcha. And the more you have simcha, the more you're attached to Hashem and Emunah. It's the cycle, right? So I was like, okay, now I can start the Parsha. Because I know just going into this Parsha that the things that I'm not going to understand, it shouldn't cause me to be distressed, angry, or confused. Then it's not Emunah. That I'm not reading the Parsha right, or I'm not reading my life right. And I say Parsha, I'm talking about things happening in my life. If I'm not reading the things in my life, if I'm thinking it's so confusing, why isn't there this communication between me and that person? Why is this, how could it be that this was not fairly given to me? If I'm looking at my life that way, I'm not going to get simcha because there's no Emunah in it. We have to try to really look into our lives and these events that happen that don't make any sense. How it's so unfair. Hashem, it's so unfair. And also we look, it's the opposite too. You should just know, yesterday I was with a group of incredible women that were visiting on a trip. And we actually went to Shiloh. And, you're standing in the place where Hannah davens to Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? She's broken. And then her brokenness turns into one of, I'm broken over myself, to the desire to want to utilize everything that you've given me to serve you, Hashem. And to continue that. Being able to, like, what does it mean to have a child? Is that we're davening that this child should continue in the path, of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's not just to have a kid, like, right? Sarah's not just davening for a kid, but she's davening for a continuation, that there should be, she's davening for Yitzchak, right? So I was talking and schmoozing with some of these women. I gave a talk. I did a haShavua-Toldot there, and it was interesting because one of the things I saw a theme coming up was they were telling me actually things in their life that had gone very easily, and what was stressing them out is how people judge them. That's so easy for you. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say someone says they were able to marry off their children fairly quickly. Shidduchim came. Let's say another person, they were able to conceive fairly easily, right? Let's say another person, Baruch Hashem, parnasa, and it's okay. And it actually caused them pain that people think that this is coming to me so easy. It just means that in this area of my life, I maybe don't have my tikkun. And then I'll tell you the other. I was talking to another woman yesterday, and she was telling me, why is it, am I the only one who has to work on this? I'm working at it so hard. She's trying to get pregnant, and she's like, I don't see other people working on this so hard. That makes me laugh, because everyone comes to me telling them that they don't think like anyone else is in their same boat. And so many people are in their boat. But she's like, why does Hashem hate? Like, does he hate me? And why am I working on this so hard and nobody else is? And it was the opposite. It was actually the same thing. It's because, sweetie pie, this is where your tikkun is. This is where your avoda is, And sweetie pie, this is not where yours is. So if you're looking at her thinking it's so easy, none of us know what is their tikkun and what to do and not to do. So if I'm reading this Parsha and I'm thinking, like, that's so unfair, and like we're taught, and like, how could that happen? And like, where's the communication? Or I'm not looking at the Parsha through Emunah, which is making me not have simcha. I'm looking to the Parsha in my life where I'm getting distressed about it, upset about it. I'm not looking through my life with Emunah, and therefore I will not have simcha. So that's my introduction. And I'm going to say how I'm going to do this. So I look further in the Parsha, right? And comes we have this, I think, to me, it's a very beautiful scene, but and then I was thinking maybe to other people it's not. But my scene of seeing Yitzchak, and kind of, I always thought it was like a room, but I think it's in Har Moriah, so they can't be in a room. They're like on top of, they're on this like holy site, right? He's standing, I would say, one corner, but it's not really a corner. But he's standing on one side. His wife is standing on the other side, and they're davening, and she becomes pregnant. What a simcha! Okay, they waited a long time for this, and it's not just that I'm going to have a kid, but again, they have the clarity of knowing that this is a mission. Like we're building a nation. We're spreading Hashem. Like, and then and we have this sentence, right? Which is v'yit rotzitzu habanim bekirba v'tumer. This is Rivka, right? Inside of her is v'yit rotzitzu. Okay, we have this word. So if I look in the art scroll, or if I look on what does it say? It would be, the word is agitated, according to art scroll, struggled. I don't know. They were shot of. Also commentaries that say the word ratz means to run, right? So we have Rashi saying that this one was running to the Beis Midrash Kedusha. This one was running to the Avodah Zarah Tuma. But it's asked, what good does it, that doesn't make any sense. Why? Let's just take Yaakov Avinu. If I'm in my mommy's womb and I have a malach and I have the Torah Kulo, I don't need to run anywhere. Right? Like, why would I run to a Beis Midrash if I'm with the Gadol Ador right now? I mean, it's like, have you known anybody to be sitting in front of a Gadol Ador and then they're like, excuse me, I'm going to go run down the street to the Shiblach and learn a little bit of Chumash there. It doesn't make sense, no? And also Avodah Zarah. I don't know, where are you running to? You don't have to run anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this concept of running? So I was a little bit, and listen to what happened. It was Sunday, and I was distressed. Okay, I wasn't so much attaching into my muna of what was going on. I felt a lot of sadness, mamash. And you know those moments where you're like, what am I going to do, right? And it happened to be, I didn't have work at that moment. I didn't have meetings. Okay, it's like always the Yitzhak comes when you're alone. We're going to see next week's Parsha. And my husband was actually putting the little ones to sleep. Okay, so I didn't have a husband right now. I'm saying an adult that I could talk to. And there was no one above the age of 10. So that right now. And then I'm like, I can't call a friend right now. You can't just call somebody at that hour of the day, like who was in my life stage who would understand. So I'm like trying to call America, and I take my phone. I like tell my husband, I'll be back. I go outside. I'm like, I was so stressed, and I had one child that I was like, I felt pain. I don't know. I was feeling pain. Mommy would start to feel pain, and I'm calling. No one's answering me in America. And I'm like, I'm so stressed out about it. Dude, it's like this running. Do you realize so many times we're running? We're either running away from our problems, running to our problems. We're running in stress about our problems. Our minds are running. When I think of racing, I think of my mind. I don't think of physical. You realize that? When I think of a race, I never think it as physical. I always think it's an emotional race. A race to get the kids out. A race to get them to sleep. Race. Shabbos is coming. Race. But it's not physical. Because we're fine with chal and hummus. Do you understand? We're fine with getting also to kindergarten 5 minutes late. It's not a race. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me that you're rushing off. You rush to the doctor's appointment. You're waiting there for 20 minutes anyways. Like, what are you rushing for? To go sit in traffic? Yesterday, I was in such lachatz because she told me, you got there I thought I had to be there 9:30. After David said it all. I didn't be there. She said, no, at 9. 9? That took a whole half an hour. I found this out at 8 o'clock when I had to get people still to school. Or if I'm not, maybe about it at midnight, the night before. I don't remember. And I'm like, how am I going to get there at 9 o'clock? You know much also the traffic it's like, guess what? I get there at 8:59, and I waited 35 minutes for the women to be ready. Anyways, on the bus. Or they were ready. I don't know. The bus was not ready. It doesn't matter. What am I running for? It was my lachatz. It wasn't the actual physical running. I didn't run faster or less. The traffic was standing there. So I'm walking. No one's answering the phone for me. And then I called the child that I'm like a little bit worried about. And it turns out he was having a bad day. I knew it. I could feel it. And he was walking. We met in the middle. I'm coming the street. And then he says to me, and I was telling him also, in addition to, I didn't tell him that I was worried and but I started telling him about how I'm worried about the Parsha. I'm really worried about Yaakov, about Yitzchak and Rivka, and they're not talking, and they're not communicating. I started to put this out to him, and he says, Mommy, from what I understand, he says, Avram and Yaakov, they're doves. We can relate to them. Yitzchak is the Geula. It's a mystery. Isn't that crazy? Not communication means Hashem is keeping us something hidden. It doesn't mean that they didn't have a good marriage. It just means Hashem doesn't want us to know that type of marriage right now because it's not for our generation. It's not for our mitzvot. All of a sudden he said that to me, like, okay, the things that I don't understand, again, Amuna. It means it's hidden from me right now. But from who? From HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't think that you've just found out now. Yesterday, I was sitting next to a woman, I don't know how old she was. I don't know how old people are anymore. You know what I'm saying? Either you're under 40 or you're over 40, or you're under or over 80. Anywhere else in the middle, I don't know anymore. So I'm sitting somebody, she was less than 80, but over 40. Okay. And she was telling me, she just found out now, like 8 months ago, that she has celiac. Her whole life she's had celiac and she didn't have any symptoms. But then something happened and she did like I don't know if it was no, maybe like she did some kind of test and they saw her intestines were alapanim, like horrible. Now, all of a sudden her life has changed. She's not a young, I'm telling you, she wasn't 20, she wasn't that, but she never suffered from it, which is, for me, that was a mess. I know, it was such you didn't have you didn't have any gastro, no, not suffering, but now she saw what was inside of her. Hashem didn't want her he wanted her to enjoy. She said, the one thing I missed is she's like those, what did she say? The battered chicken. I don't know. It was like a random, he wanted her now to be eating her gluten-free pizza. And for the last 65 years of her life, he, for some reason, wanted this to happen. Why? It's the doctor's fault. It's the mother's fault. It's this. No, things are hidden from us. Okay. So they're struggling. And then I'm trying to figure this out. And then Baruch Hashem, after I read it, I was so excited. So what I was reading lots of different things and nothing was speaking to me about this. they're fighting, and accept the idea that, oh, so where is he running to? If he has the Gadol Dor inside the womb, where is he running to? And the answer is that what good does anything do to you if you don't omel b'zeh? If you don't omel and osek b'Torah, you can have the Gadol Dor in front of you. It doesn't do you any good. I can sit and steig as much as I want. If I'm not working in it, if I'm not doing it, if I'm not confronted with life, I have to go out of the womb. I have to be challenged. This world is one of challenges. It's because it's one of growth, I should say. This world is one of growth. So there they are. And then I open up Netivat Shalom. And guess what he says? He just says, it's written in this book called, the Sefer called Torat Avot, Ve'od Sifrei HaKodesh. Right? And what is it? Machshavot nikra'im banim. Our thoughts are called banim. She has these two forces inside of her, and they were called banim, right? I mean, Ve'retzu, where is the pasuk, right? She said, banim. So now let's go to, we're going to start taking this as, what is it? Banim is not children, it's thoughts, right? And they're inside of her. And then she says, Lamani, what is going on with me? Why are you doing this to me? What's the problem here? Is it the reality or is it my thoughts? Right? And what does she do? V'tilech lidrosh et Hashem. She goes and she asks for das Torah, she asks for advice, she asks for wisdom, she asks for clarity. She asks, Hashem, speak to me, tell me. And what does he say to her? According to the Mefarshim, it's Shem, Menever, right? Shem. Shnei goyim, there's going to be two nations that are inside your stomach. And there's these like two forces, basically, that are going to come from you. And guess what? The older one, the older one, Yavod Tzair, is going to serve the young one. Okay? And then guess what happens? Rivka gives birth, Mazal Tov, she's got twins. And guess what? The Rishon is Adomeni, he's red, right, all over the place. And he's got all this hair. I don't know, I did a mini birth where the little Eskimo comes out, and it's usually a girl, and she's just like full on hair, like sticking up everywhere. It's the cutest thing in the world. Like, imagine this, like, I've never seen it in Gingy. It's always like a dark-haired baby, and then it usually falls out, but it's adorable. Okay, so Esav was born with this full-on hair, right? Red head, all over the place. And his name is Esav, Milashon Asui. He's finished, he's done. However he is, he's done, okay? V'chalken, and then afterwards, who comes out? His brother, V'yado, in his hand. What is he doing? He's holding on to Ba'akev, the ankle of Esav. And guess what his name is? Yaakov, right? And then all we know is that Yitzchak was Ben Shishim. He's 60 years old when they were born, meaning he got married at 40. He had his first children and only children at the age of 16. Okay, so we pause and we go back to the Netivat Shalom and this concept of Banim are my machshavot. And what does he bring in here? He says that we have a machshav which is called Yetzirah Tov. We also have a machshav which is Yetzirah Ra. Now, I want to just define this. I love to define this every single time. Tov means closeness and to connection. The definition of Ra comes from, Moshe Shapiro brings, Ru'ah is unstable. I don't really like the word evil. It means that there's nothing to do. Unstable means I need to stabilize myself in my instability or channel it, right? And sometimes being unstable is actually quite good because it will bring you to places where if you don't have your instability, then you don't fall enough to be able to grow enough, okay? When you say evil, I feel like it's a different kind of connotation. So inside of us, we have Yetzirah Ra and Yetzirah Tov. And they're running. And we think, though, the problem is that before he brings in that we ate from Eitz Hadat, it was very clear. It was very clear. This is for your connection, and this will be for your disconnect. The moment we ate from the Eitz Hadat, Tov V'Ra. It's so funny. I say it's like you ate from something that actually takes away your dot of what's Tov V'Ra. And all of a sudden, it was a marevet. It was a mixture. It was confusion. And I was thinking to myself, what in my life am I always not knowing what to do when it's actually very confusing to me? If I have my clarity of this is going to bring me to, even if I'm telling you that I have clarity that I don't want to do something, but right now this is what I need to do, for the moment, like short-term versus long-term, it's like not the best thing for me, let's say. And health-wise, let's just say, or this-wise, or whatever. At least I have my clarity. It's not my ideal, I'll work on it. But when I don't even know what my good is, and it's all confusing to me, and it's such a bilbul to me, it's so much, then you're like, why? What is going on? Why am I here? What is going on, Hashem? It's so confusing to me. And what does she do, which I thought is such brilliance? She goes to ask for advice. Now the word, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Okay, on Shabbos, we started going to Minyan, the best love Minyan, and I'll be really honest with you, my husband loves it. They sing, they dance, they're very warm. My little kids like it because they give you kugel Yerushalmi. It's like the old-fashioned, this place is so Heimish. You're not getting anything but like an oily kugel Yerushalmi and an oily like kugel potato, and they love it. Okay, I went with them this time. I'm sitting there listening to the person who's giving the drash, and what does he say? He says, and I only heard 2 words, and then my mind started to roll, so I don't even know the context of what he was saying. I don't know where it was from. It's for sure from Breslov. It's either Rabbi Nassan or something, but he was saying that, like, when you go to tzaddik, he says, he just brought up, when you go ask for etzah, the word etzah means advice. What did he say? Then he mentioned the word eitz, tree. And then I don't know what he said anymore. My mind started to go. I'm like, oh my God, that's such a brilliant etzah from eitz. The person I'm asking advice for, or the thing that I'm going to get my clarity, maybe it's going for a walk, has to be something that grounds me with firm shoashim roots in the ground, connected to Torah, connected to the Gersh, firm, I'm stable, I feel good about this. And that, when I walk out of that session, I should feel like I'm growing and not stuck in the same cycle of running. Because if I felt good in it, but they're giving me the advice, but the moment I leave, I'm back to my running, I'm not grounding myself. It's not I need to grow. Now, sometimes you go and you ask for advice, you get Das Torah, and it's so unsettling because they make you work hard. You're like, no, I don't want to work that hard. You just tell me like I'm perfect and I don't have to do anything. And the one who really challenges you is going to make you grow. It's going to make you stretch, reach, get some fruits here. So she goes with this, what's Yetzer Hara, what's Yetzer Tov. We have to have our clarity. We have to understand it's like, Rivka, actually, my also son told me, was the Gilgul of Chava, right? And yeah, I'm always scared to say these things, especially being recorded, because it's going to sound, I don't know, you never know in life. But Yitzchak was the Gilgul of, Rivka is the Gilgul of Chava. Esav's Gilgul was the Nachash. Actually, he's the Nachash, right? And Yaakov is the Gilgul of Adam. That's why Yaakov says, I'm scared I'm going to get cursed. And Rivka says, it's on me, the curse. Go get the bracha. Like it was a tikkun here. And also Esav was supposed to do the tikkun, though, of the Nachash. He was supposed to do it, which was what? The Nachash was supposed to be the Gabbai, the Shamash, the Adam Rishon. He was supposed to be the Eliezer. And he did, and so now Esav had the opportunity again to be this of Yaakov, who's Adam, and it didn't work out. So what happens? So then he brings in that, what's this idea of the Yad? He's holding on to the Yad. So he says, if Yetzer Hara, right, is my Yetzer Hara, we know also children, they're born, they're all Yetzer Hara kulo, they're only Yetzer Hara, which means what? They're unstable. In 1 second they're laughing, in 1 second they're and crying. They're impulsive, which is unstable. They're hanging from this, they're chiming on that. It's beautiful as a child. You should be impulsive and unstable, because otherwise, if you don't learn you won't learn how to walk. You'll be too scared. You always need to be standing. I can't take a step. It's good for us. We need a Yetzer Hara. We need it. And then the word Yad is Yud Dalid, which is 14, which means after there's 12 and 13 for a girl. After that year, then comes the Yetzer Tov, enters in, and the Yetzer Tov has to be the one, though, that the Yetzer Hara is serving. We need to get our clarity, understand, is this coming from this or is this coming from this? I'm going to give you 2 examples that happened to me, actually. This morning, I took one of my kids to yeshiva. It's in Harnof, but whatever. They don't sleep at all. You know what I mean? Like, they don't sleep. So if you can save them 10 minutes, it's like, I took them, although I don't know if now driving anywhere is saving. But I use the time, instead of me kvetching, it's one more thing that I have to do on me also, which I can feel. And how am I supposed to make the breakfast as a lunch and also take you and you're not getting up, and I've had it like for 20 minutes and try to get you up. But then I'm like, can I use this time of bonding? Because I really don't talk or see this child. He comes, I hardly see them. And I was sharing them with about what happened yesterday, and he was listening. this child is not so communicative with me. It's okay. It's not his way. His communication was actually listening to mommy just tell stories, right? And I'm like, I'm so grateful for this time. That's going to, make me be rushing. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be here on time today, actually. Those 10 minutes, it makes every 10 minutes of my life is like gold, right? But I thought, what's my thought here? Who's going to be holding on to whose ankle? My Yetzer Tov. I'm doing mitzvah, chesed. I don't know. I can maybe 10 mitzvahs I did this morning, but just by taking a kid to the yeshiva. Or is it going to be my Yetzer Ra, which is the impulsive, I want what I want, I'm a kid, And then I was coming back, which was another 10 minutes, on Shauzen. My thoughts were like, this is so annoying, this construction, right? And then two things happened. There was like pile up of cars. You guys, this is like 10 minutes to 8. We're not talking about like what pile up of cars. And I was kind of getting a little bit annoyed. And then guess what I see? I couldn't see because there was such a pile up. But then as he got this way, there was an older woman literally with a cane walking across the street. And there was a pile up of cars because we were waiting for her to cross the street. It had nothing to do with construction. And all of a sudden I felt calm. I was so grateful I didn't honk. I was so grateful I didn't honk. And I was like, Ribbon Shalom, I cannot believe that only when I'm in control, and my impulsivity is wonderful at times, it just has to be directed by my Yetzer Tov. Which is the thought? Where's my clarity? If I'm just stooping everyone with an eagle because I can't right now, that's fine. But I need to have my clarity. Why? Is it because I need to go fill myself up and take 10 minutes and have quiet time so everyone will be occupied with an igloo? Okay, the Seder. Is it the best thing to do? No, probably not. But we'll get there, What am I doing and why? Am I just honking my horn, running like a crazy person because I have no clarity? And I'm not talking about fantasizing. I'm just saying, take a breath and see what's really going on. You know what I mean? I couldn't see her the first half of the thing because there were so many cars until she got to the other side of the street, like where I actually saw the lady who really was with a cane, also. And then I'm driving, and then because I had that, guess what happens? All of a sudden, I started looking at the traffic in a different way also. I'm like, you know what? They really just want to make the street better. I started to lapot katzat. I started to relax. I'm like, because I'm right there. I'm allergic to dust. It's right in front of my apartment. And people can't get to me also. I have half my children on public transportation. It really is a tircha, like a physical tircha for me. It's a bother. But I'm like, Elana, even if it's whatever it's going to take as much time, they're trying to make it nice. Get a grip. And then I realized, why do my kids complain? Because I'm giving the energy that I'm so frustrated by the street. And so then I walk in the door and I was like, Baruch Hashem, you guys really are going to have a new street. I'm like, this is great, Now I would not, if they just came home late, after an hour sitting in traffic, and I would not say that to them, obviously, right? And I wouldn't even say it to myself because I'm not holding there at that moment. But the goal is to get the clarity. Find your eights, find your tree, whether it be a person or whatever it is. But seek clarity that I know where my Yetzer Ra is coming from and how to utilize it. And then what are we going to see? Later on with the brachot, which is it's a very complicated sugya. Okay. And always, I love the Rav Dessler, that Ratzon is emes. The Ratzon of Hashem is what emes is when you're doing Ratzon Hashem. And there's I'll give you there's a couple of famous stories. The person who was in the hospital sitting by, and their bed was by the window. Another person comes in and there's a curtain and he's very depressed. And so the one by the bed is saying, oh, you don't know how beautiful it is. There's a park and there's kids and it's just and it gave him happiness. And then the man by the window, Niftar, he passes away. And the other one says, I want to switch to the window seat. Basically. And guess what? He opens the curtain, it's the wall. Mm-hmm. So is he Meshakran? He's a liar? No, he did. No, he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? But that's not a blank check. We can't just use it as a blank check. We have to understand that when we're looking at things, and also Onkelos brings us that he was just using chokhmah. There was no trickery here. It was chokhmah. Okay, but I want to just take it for face value of what we're learning from Netivat Shalom, which is what? Comes in Yaakov. And he's dressed in the levush of Esav, which is what? I want to go into the younger one, the older one, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Ra. Inside of me is always my Yetzer Tov. There's I can't remember the song. It's one of these hip, bouncing songs now that's out about. You You're just Tov or something. I'm no, not the Odit Tov one. The other one by him. The new one. It's not so new anymore. The point is, you're just inside of you, and you're good. That's the thing. That's the point of the song. I can't remember right now. I'm losing it. It's a techno beat, though. You know, it's a techno beat or a rave beat. But like, more than that, I can't tell you. I can't remember the words. But it's like 3 words. You're good. Like basically, you're good, and that's just your Yitzhak. And what's the gist of the song and the gist of our lives is that Yaakov comes in. Look at it face value, however you want. He's wearing Esav's clothes. We all wear livushim. Now, also, I sometimes want my levush to be, and I have to really think about what is my appearance. I want it to be dignified. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be refined. You know, like, it's not bad, but it is a levush. I'm saying even something good that you're wearing is still, it's something that you're wearing. Because that's what it is. Now, he was wearing clothing that smelled like Gan Eden. That was really from Adam Rishon. Esav utilized it in not the best way. But the point is that it was just an external. Do you realize that Yitzchak, he says, this garment is of Esav, the Yetzirah, aval kol ko Yaakov. The kol is inside of us. Our voice, our internal, when we have our clarity. So sometimes I actually do have to, like I was saying, I just have to know how to channel it. There is no bad, don't say you're asui. That's it, that's who I am. And if you are that way, like let's say a personality trait I'm talking about, or this child is like this, or this person, my neighbor, or this, or that, or my boss, they are like this and they'll never change, or I can't change. And I am how I am, just accept me the way I am. You know what? It's true, but it's not true. You are that way. I agree with you 100%. I'm a makabal, I'm like mamish makabal of this personality in front of me. So use that to serve Hashem. That very same thing that drives you crazy, that you can't stand about yourself or anybody else, who's to say it's not inherently, bad or good. It's just how it's going to be used, right? It's really how it is going to be used in this world. So comes Yaakov, and Yaakov is even using his Yetzer Hara to get a bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because that was Ratzon Hashem. Because it wasn't that all of a sudden Rivka comes, years later, and it's like, oh, by the way, I want you to go steal the brachot. She had Ruach HaKodesh. This is not like, there was a Ruach HaKodesh. There's a lot of mystery here, and I could talk a lot about Shalom Bayit about this, and maybe, there is, I think this Rav Shimshon Hirsch brings down, I've heard in his name, that Esav could have been very different if maybe Rivka had not done this and believed in him a little bit differently and whatever. Okay, not to blame them all. I'm just saying there's a lot there, but where I'm focusing on is in that I just need my clarity to know what to use and when. And I need to know where this voice is coming from. And like, I always go back to, you guys, put purpose and meaning into what is troubling you. Put your muna, you're going to get simcha. Because what gets us so down is we're like, that's it, this is the situation. The situation is at face value, it's done. It's just, that's how it is. That's what I'm seeing. And it's a very immature way of looking at life. That's why it's under the age of 12 or 13. Maturity comes when you experience life to understand enough time to know that, oh, there's different reasons why things happen. That doesn't come at such a young age. Children need black and white. They really do. That's why it's so important to actually, they learn Amunah from their parents, and the parents really do have to be black and white. When they're gray and unclear, it's very confusing for a child because they're not at the stage where they can make bechira decisions. They don't have their Yetzer Tov. So then you're not giving them Amunah. Because our foundation is Hashem, you're black and white. Meaning, I know you're just good. And anything that you do, it's like a black and white thing that you know that why you're doing it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Or do I get confusing myself? So I want to end with I wanted to bring in just my favorite. It's really like one of my favorite in Mishlei, right? Ted Vav Mishlei, it says Ma'or Anayim, the illuminating the eyes. And or, when it talks about or, we're talking about like Hashem. Because it's not even your neshama. Or is something that's constant. It's like a constant. I don't have to, a neshama I have to light up. I have to ignite. I have to use a body. My neshama on its own actually doesn't do anything unless the body is utilized. My Yetzirah is actualized potential, right? But Hashem's or is always there, okay? Or Enaim, illuminate your eyes with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, with purpose and meaning and understanding everything is Ratzon Hashem. Yismach lev, it makes your heart happy. And also, it says, Shemu'ah tova tidashei etzem. Okay, your bones are going to get fat. What I love is, is that, and so what does it say? It says, the Mitzudat David says, what is this? Okay, what is it? What does it mean? Where is this happiness coming from? No. Okay, where am I? Pasuk Lamed. Yeah. What does it say? It's when you don't have doubt. When you get rid of the doubt. Like, meaning when you're illuminating, when you don't have doubt, because that's the whole reason what I'm saying Rivka was suffering from. She thought it was one thing, it was so confusing to her. She was able to distinguish afterwards. And why do they want to come out? Because once I have a potential of understanding clarity, then I know what to do with it. Just the confusion itself doesn't do me any good. The thoughts that are running in my mind don't do me any good. What am I going to do with it, right? And where am I going towards it? But he brings in, when you remove doubt from your life, this is actually what causes you to have simcha. When we get to have doubt, right? He says also, go get close to chachamim, divrei chachamim, right? Kerev the chachamim. How do we do this? Is we get advice that's like a tree that makes us feel firmly planted, that makes us feel like we're grounded. We have a shore. We understand and we're growing. Now, sometimes growing is difficult, but it's there. So I want to tell you also a little story that I read, and it's not like, I don't think it's a real story, but it's still, it's the idea. Which is, there was this man, and he was a diamond dealer. I even brought a diamond, right? And that one of my kids found. He's a diamond dealer, and I'm always like thinking also, like, what am I going to give my kids when I die? I have nothing. But this is going to be their inheritance. He's a diamond dealer, and he goes to Africa. It might have been South Africa, I don't know, but it's somewhere in Africa, and there's diamonds. And he finds an incredible diamond, an incredible gem. Okay, flawless, gorgeous diamond, or at least the potential for this. And the problem is that where he is, it's like very primitive. There's no hotels. There's like hostels. You know what I'm saying? It's a very, safari kind of place where people just go. So he knows if I'm going to this hostel, I have to share a room with other people. And he sees there are thieves there. They are going to steal my diamonds. What does he do? He goes to sleep. Then the nighttime comes the thief, and he's looking. He's rummaging through the guy's clothing. He's rummaging through his suitcase. He's rummaging through everything, even under the pillow a little bit. He doesn't find the diamond. The sun comes up. The guy rested, the Yehudi. It was a Jewish diamond dealer. He rested, and he was good. How did he sleep all night long knowing that this pair of eyes were looking for his diamond? So then he goes over to the closet of the other guy, takes the pajamas, and takes out his diamonds. He hid it in the thief's pajamas knowing he's not going to use it. Okay, what's the message here? We have inside of us, a Kol Yaakov is always a diamond. And it always, at the end of the day also, if Yitzchak had actually an ounce of doubt he was giving the bracha to the wrong person, it would have been a bracha batalah. Because I can't say, let's say I go and I want to buy a Gucci bag, right? And they sell me something else, I will go back and say, this is not Gucci, give me back my money, right? It's like the only brand name I know from like a long time ago, right? So if he said, I gave you a bracha, but I didn't give it to the right person, if you married somebody else, you could also say, that wasn't the person I married, right? Give me, the bracha doesn't stand. We have the bracha, it stands. Why? Because ultimately, the essence was Kol Yaakov. I'm giving the bracha to the Yetzer Atov, because all the physicality, which is Esav, and all the things that we think we're stuck on, and I mean physicality is my nature, my makeup, my genes, my even Amida, which is so ruchnius, is actually just a physicality that can be channeled by my Yetzer Atov, right? So B'ezrat Hashem, I bless us that of all these things that we can take from this Parsha is to be able to harness, but in a good way, hold on to your Yetzer Hara because we need it, right? But just that who's ruling over who. And when you're feeling so confused, I still go for a walk, try to call people that don't answer the phone. And then ultimately I was also like, Hashem, I guess it's just you and me, right? You go and you try, but you realize, please, if you're running and you're feeling so unsettled, I'm telling you, it's because you don't have your clarity. Get your clarity. Find out, okay, what's the voice of clarity of my Yetzer Tov, which is making me feel more connected? And what's my Yetzer Hara? And mind you, it might not be that the situation will change in any way whatsoever, but you're going to change. How you see it's going to change. You're going to open yourself up to be a kli, to receive the bracha that Hashem wants to give us when we have a clarity. B'ezrat Hashem.